If you're visiting the Gibbes Museum of Art for the first time, you'll notice a permanent exhibit paying homage to an art form that is becoming far too rare in the Lowcountry. We're talking sweetgrass basket making. Joining us with a new exhibit is Antwon Ford, a sweetgrass basket artist, and Angela Mack, executive director at the Gibbes. Thank you so much for joining us, Angela. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
And Antwon, it's wonderful to meet you. How long have you been a sweetgrass basket artist?
I've been a sweetgrass artist now for 31 years. I started when I was 4 years old.
Good. And who taught you how to weave?
My grandmother taught me. She taught me when I was 4. She would be in the kitchen working, making baskets for the family basket stand. And, as the scrap materials fell to the floor, I would pick them up and just start playing around with them. And then as I started to take it a little more seriously, I started asking her questions. And then she started showing me a little bit more about what I was doing and like what I needed to do. And it's been a lot of informal training over the years ever since then.
From what I understand is you sold one piece and then you were hooked.
Right. So I sold my first basket at the age of 7, and it was my first completed basket. And I sold that to an aunt of mine that had just came by the house, and I had like literally just finished it. My grandmother, she was, helping me with that piece for actually quite a few weeks. And, I was so proud, and she was the first person that saw it.
How would you describe your work? How is it different or similar from some of the other artists that we see?
Well, as of 2009, I started taking sweetgrass a little bit more seriously. And then I wanted to do something just a little bit more different. So that's when I started moving more into the sculpture aspect of things. And so I started doing some research into a sculpture that involved a lot of movement. And so within my research, that's when I bumped into fourth dimensional art. And so diving more into like what was considered fourth dimension, that's when I realized that there was a mathematical concept of what was considered fourth dimension, where we have a 3D space adjacent to other 3D spaces. And then we have the scientific concept where we have movement in time. So I decided to focus more on the scientific concept of fourth dimension. And then that's when I bumped into gestalt psychology, which is a form of human thought, where we tend to, perceive items as a whole instead of their, individual parts.
Wow.
And, just diving a little bit deeper still, that said, I realized that there were 5 different principles of gestalt psychology. So I decided to focus more on the principle of similarity, which my work tries to mimic like human posture in a lot of my sculptures. And so, part of my mission is to, successfully, create sculptures that actually mimic that. And, once I feel that I, successfully, mastered the scientific concept of fourth dimension, then I'd like to eventually merge that with the mathematical concept at some point.
Angela, have you ever seen any of your artists apply gestalt psychology to their work?
No. And that's what has fascinated us about Antwon. I mean, he's the pure combination of the aesthetic, artistic side, and science. And so if you ever want to see a living, breathing testament to the concept of STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, you are looking at it in Antwon Ford. His works go well beyond the traditional forms of the sweetgrass or the use of sweetgrass in basketry. They are beautiful sculptures. We're so delighted to have had him as a visiting artist for 6 weeks at the Gibbes while he was creating these baskets, and now to have them on display in our art sales gallery. So it's just been such a pleasure.
That's wonderful. And so you do have a special exhibit featuring 2 artists. One would be Antwon Ford, and who is the other?
Catherine Dunlap, who does some gorgeous, very vibrant landscapes and animal pieces. They are quite beautiful, and together these two artists really do complement each other in the space that's right as you walk in the museum on the ground floor that's free to the public.
And that's going on through November 29th, is that right?
Correct.
Right. Now, Antwon, I just have to ask you this last question. You know, we've spoken to other Sweetgrass basket weavers who tell us that younger generations aren't finding themselves carrying on this tradition. Can you tell us why it's important to do so, why you have become that ambassador, and what you would tell any of the youngsters to maybe pick it up and to continue this tradition?
Well, you know, most people that learn how to make sweetgrass baskets, they tend to learn as children. So, you know, one thing I like to do is to encourage a lot of the parents and the grandparents to actually sit down with their kids, you know, as they tend to make baskets, and, you know, as they show an interest, you know, to definitely, you know, allow them to have some hands-on. And although the training will more than likely be informal, because that's how it is, you know, for many kids. And it really starts with the parents, you know, and actually getting their children engaged for the most part.
Absolutely. Well, and we love your hat, by the way. That is absolutely beautiful. I want to thank you so much for joining us and sharing your art with us. And Angela, thank you for sharing what the Gibbes is up to. You have wonderful exhibits there. And of course, our viewers are going to be so excited to see this. We're back in 2 minutes.